Tappy has just released Arc 7 Chapter 82, and this video will be a summary of the chapter. I highly recommend you check out my Arc 7 Chapter 81 summary. And yes, Tappy released this chapter like 7 hours after he usually releases a chapter, so that's the reason why it's a very weird timing for the video. Anyways, let's get started. Serena mentions that if Roswaal takes her into custody, then he can stop her advance, whilst also mentioning that Roswaal has a nice wife. Roswaal reminds Serena Dracoi that Ram is not his wife. 2 days ago, Ram and Roswaal visited Serena's territory, a high-ranking noble, in order to find the missing Rem and Subaru. After giving information such as the person being black-haired and having black eyes, Roswaal believed it would be very easy to find Subaru due to his unique characteristics. After all, no matter where Subaru was sent, he would always make noise. It's very hard for Subaru to be quiet. The outburst made by Ram was in response to hearing the name Natsuki Schwartz. Both Ram and Roswaal knew that this was Subaru. The name was a distress signal from Subaru, who was sent to Wallachia and was alone and helpless. No one could fault Subaru for sending such a distress signal, but it was on the side that the signal was sent out in, so most likely due to the fact that Subaru is using his cross-dressing name, maybe? And this caught Ram off guard. Serena was sitting on her sofa, wondering if Natsumi was who they were looking for. Ram says that Natsumi is an extra for her, but for Roswaal, Natsumi is who he is looking for. We see that Ram is pointing her wand at Serena and is essentially holding her down. Ram and Roswaal knew Natsuki Schwartz was a pseudonym that Subaru used. Roswaal was shocked that Subaru was on the side of the rebellion. Even though he understood why Subaru used a false name, he couldn't see this direction coming from the rebellion side. Things had turned out differently from what Roswaal hoped, but that was natural considering Subaru was involved. We see that Roswaal and Ram were summoned to Serena's office, and then they heard about the black-haired maiden Natsuki Schwartz, and that's how the situation arose to this. Whilst there was guards outside of Serena's office, they wouldn't enter unless Serena called out for them. Roswaal then states he doesn't want to fight and change their relationship. However, deep down, Roswaal knows that the situation turned like this due to Ram acting on her own after hearing Natsumi's name. Roswaal comments that Serena's Flying Dragon Squadron would have burned the rebellion down. We see that Serena specializes with flying dragons and has the best dragon riders, and in a war the side with the best dragon riders and flying dragons will be more likely to win. Serena says she doesn't want to move her troops for anything and states that Roswaal can't just stand there forever. However, Roswaal asks Serena for a different proposition: to join the rebellion with him. The rebel army Subaru joined was most likely where Rem was, so it's not surprising that Ram made a decision to act upon hearing Natsumi's name. After all, Ram blames herself for losing Rem and Subaru at the Pleiades watchtower. If Roswaal wanted, he could kill or injure Serena and escape the territory. However, that would go against his mission, plus it would make an enemy where there didn't need to be one. Furthermore, if he did injure or kill Serena, the rebellion would actually be improved. After all, if a high-ranking member of the Wallachian Empire was killed, it would be beneficial to the rebellion. Of course, if it was for Roswaal's dream, then he would easily take Serena's life. If it was a sacrifice that had to be made, he would do it. However, with the current circumstances, there didn't need to be a sacrifice. Therefore, Roswaal asked if Serena wanted to join the rebellion. The idea is that if they share the same goal, then there shouldn't be any issues. Serena, however, has no grievances with the Emperor. However, Roswaal explains that over the past 2 days he has been picking up information, such as the fact about the assassination attempt a few years ago, and the 9 divine generals were rumoured to have been involved, resulting in the death of Balleroy. The atmosphere in the room changed, and Serena looked more focused and calm. She tells Ram to put her wand down, and Roswaal also tells Ram to do it, and Ram complies. Serena turns around and asks if the sky is free, and Roswaal states that the way she talks implies that the sky is not free. Serena then explains everything: the air, soil, human flesh, and even the sky itself belongs to the Emperor. Balleroy was a promising dragon rider who died after a failed assassination attempt on Vincent Valachia. Since Serena was the one who sponsored Balleroy after the failed assassination attempt, her position grew worse. Her group lost its importance, and she couldn't recover her name. Not only that, the replacement for Balleroy was a dragonkin called Madeline, who had no experience or anything, and was just promoted based on the Prime Minister's recommendation. Furthermore, she could control dragons without a rider. When Roswaal discusses this, Serena talks about how even if you can control a dragon without a rider, it can only resort to its primal instincts rather than battle tactics. Regardless though, for Serena, who trains flying dragon riders, the way it works is that if you have one rider and one dragon, they must train together for a very long time. However, for someone like Madeline, who can simply control hundreds of flying dragons, you could actually call her Serena's natural enemy. Serena then states she won't reveal Roswaal's identity. After all, the people of Lagunica would assume that Roswaal is a traitor if he was revealed here, in the Empire of Valachia. Serena then states that if they were going to fight, they would need to win. With that, Serena agrees to join Roswaal and Ram in the side of the rebellion. It seemed that Serena all along planned to rebel at some point. Serena then says out loud that Vincent Valachia, the Emperor, the people are complaining of your peaceful reign, and once the fire is lit, it will spread. Roswaal then asks what kind of fire it is, and Serena asks if Roswaal can think of it. Roswaal thinks if Subaru will set the whole empire ablaze, what should he do? Roswaal knows he needs to get back to Lagunica with every member of his camp. After all, this was the rule that he forced onto Subaru. A future without someone else is something that Subaru would not accept, therefore Subaru will struggle. Roswaal can at least move in a way that will reduce the amount of times that Subaru has to redo. With that, Serena says they should drink to celebrate. Ram is of course skeptical, but Serena says that they need to strengthen their bonds together so they can achieve their goals, saying that drinking and talking is a natural thing to do. Ram is taken aback from Serena's now bubbly demeanour. It seemed that she was really happy that she no longer had to hide details from Ram and Roswaal, such as the fact that she always planned to rebel against the Emperor. Ram also doesn't believe that Serena would betray them. They discuss their plan. Do they wait for the fire to rise on its own, or would they be the hand of fire themselves? And Serena says that they should wait and not be hasty. Ram of course wants to go to the city of Guaral. That's where Subaru was apparently located, under the name Natsumi Schwartz, and of course if Subaru was there, that means that Ram was likely present there also. However, Roswaal said that they should wait for the fire to rise on its own, so Ram nodded her head despite being a bit hesitant. A few days later, the hands of fire rose. The rebellion led by the Emperor's son spread throughout the empire at every corner. Among them, the first to announce their intention to join the rebellion was Selena Dracoi, standing next to a handsome man and a beautiful woman. And with that, the chapter ends. So that was actually a really short chapter. I highly recommend you read EX4. because a lot of this Balleroy backstory is in EX4, where Balleroy actually did not attempt to assassinate the Emperor. He was essentially a martyr, because there was going to be a coup where Vincent would have been ousted, and Balleroy was like the fool guy. Like, he did nothing wrong from memory. So he was just a fool guy that died for his country. And of course, everyone thinks that Balleroy is a bad guy when he actually wasn't. And Julius was the one that killed Balleroy. But of course, Julius's name was eaten, so no one remembers Julius. So that's going to be weird. But that was it for the chapter. It seems like Roswaal, Serena, and Ram are on the same side. And of course, Roswaal, in the last chapter, Roswaal did not want to rebel, right? He wanted to squash the rebellion. But the second he heard that Subaru was on the side of the rebellion, he immediately switched sides. So that's kind of funny to see that Roswaal is just following what Subaru does. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.